Bench Opinions. Three idiots with amateur analysis.
All right, welcome to a different episode of Bench Opinions, everybody. I'm joined by my usual co-hosts, Dom and Klaus, but I'm also joined by my lovely sister, who you see on screen here, all the way from South Africa. Welcome, Vanessa.
Hello. Thank you. Nice to be here with you. I feel so special.
We had some trouble getting going. It's difficult enough with two co-hosts. Having a third guest has absolutely stumped us. We're here today because my sister is doing something, I think, which the three of us would never consider doing.
Speak about Uruguayan rugby.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Vanessa, why don't you tell us a little bit about the challenge that is upcoming, what you're raising money for? Give us a little bit of an introduction into why you're on this call with us today.
So I'm swimming the Robben Island crossing, which is a 7.5 kilometer ocean swim from Robben Island to Blouberg in the Atlantic Ocean. And I'm doing it to raise funding for two organizations. The one is called StartWell, and they do a fortified porridge to fight malnutrition in South Africa. And then the other is my own organization that I'm the executive director of, the Sustainability Institute. So yeah, raising funds. It's the second year that I'm swimming. Last year, I managed to raise just over 100,000. And this year, trying to beat that target, which, it's going well. But I guess it's all on behalf of children, making sure that they have access to more nutritious meals, things like that.
Awesome. Just to clarify, when I said we wouldn't do anything like this, we'd obviously also raise money for, for causes. We're just not swimming across Robben Island. To all those listeners who don't know what Robben Island is, I'm talking specifically to all the German tourists who are in Cape Town now. You won't pass it when you're passing Camps Bay, because it's the island that you will see when you hike up Table Mountain for your sundowner. It's where Nelson Mandela was imprisoned. I believe it was for 18 of his 27 years. And it lies 7.5 kilometers from Blouberg Beach, which I believe you're swimming to, Ness.
I've got a friend who's swum it a couple of times, and sometimes the current is so intense that it can be a lot longer than 7.5. So I think once he swam close to 9 kilometers because of the current. So that's definitely something that I'm a bit nervous about.
I was about to ask, is there a reason why you're swimming to Blouberg and not from Blouberg?
I think it does have to do with the currents. I actually have never asked, but I think it does have to do with the currents and probably also the logistics. It's harder to... when we arrive on the beach, everyone's there welcoming us. So that's probably also a bit easier for, just planning and logistics and things like that.
You can't get the post-match snacks to Robben Island.
No. Ness, so this is the second time you're swimming, right? What can you maybe talk everyone a bit through your experience swimming the first time? Because obviously, it wasn't scary enough for you not to say, hey, I'm going to do it again. But it must have been pretty damn terrifying. It must have been pretty tough. What was some of the stuff you had to deal with on the first time around?
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up swimming. Swimming was my sport in high school, and I actually went to the States swimming on a scholarship there. So swimming itself is not the challenge. 7.5 kilometers doesn't scare me, but I think it's more the ocean that can panic me quite a bit. As soon as my head goes there and I let my mind go about what's under the water, I can completely panic. I think last year we were very lucky with the temperature. The cold is another thing that a lot of people struggle with. I know that people have gotten hypothermia swimming and have had to get out. So I think for me, last year, the biggest challenge last year was actually my seasickness. So in my later years, I've become a bit seasick or motion sickness. And I got so seasick that it almost made me want to get out because nausea is really no fun. But I think last year we were very lucky with the conditions. I mean, they usually try and pick a day that's really smooth and clear. So you have a whole week that you set aside, and they'll pick the best day out of that whole week, and they'll say, okay, you guys are swimming on Wednesday. And we had 16 degrees, so it was super warm. Like relative, I was in a wetsuit. Of course, there are people who swim it in skins, which is madness. But I think the biggest challenge was the nausea. And I think for me, the best part about it is the lead up to it and building up like a community. And for example, chatting to you guys now about it, having people donate, and even if they don't donate and they're just cheering me on, I created a social media page, and yeah, it's just super fun to get everybody kind of involved and get all the messages of support, and then also to share the cause. Obviously, for me is really important as well.
Regarding the hypothermia danger, I believe this is no news to you, but the first thing you need to do is pee in your wetsuit.
I think that's part of the briefing beforehand, is just pee in your wetsuit.
Okay. You can even pee in it before you've gotten in the ocean. It's just make sure to pee in it before and hydrate well.
But maybe if you hold it in, you're a bit more desperate to get back to the shore. So you swim fast. I think that's the better angle, to be honest.
Just don't pee after the swim. Yeah. Then it's weird.
As you all like Baywatch, like run out the water to greet your fans. Anyway, sorry, we digress.
Les, can you talk us through some more of the logistics about the actual day of the race? Because I think from a layman's point of view, I think just swimming that race, you sort of have something very different in your head to what might actually be the case. How many people are swimming with you? Are there boats that accompany you? Is there any like safety measures that have to be taken? Because it's obviously not dangerous.
So they try and pair you up with one other swimmer that has the similar pace to you. So beforehand, they'll try and match you up with someone. And then they'll have one boat for every 2 swimmers for safety. And that boat sticks with you the entire time. And that's your feeding boat as well. So that's the boat that throws your water bottle to you. You're not allowed to touch the boat. So if you touch anything, then you're disqualified. So they throw everything to you, whatever you're eating, whatever you want to drink. And they're also quite strict with stopping you. I think it's I can't now remember. I think it's like every 20 or 25 minutes they actually stop you and they feed you. So that's safety reasons, or for safety purposes, and also checking on you hypothermia wise and all of that. But then to the lead up, you get on a boat at the waterfront, and then they take you out to Robben Island. You all jump into the water from there, and then you get started from there. Last year, I think we were 19 people, which was way too many for them. So they were struggling to get enough boats, and that was quite an operation. So I think they are quite constrained with a number of people because of the number of boats that it takes, etc., which I don't mind, because I don't know if any of you have ever done an open water race, any dam swims or anything like that, but it can get quite mad. Did any of you ever do Midmar when you were in high school?
We didn't do Midmar, but the three of us actually competed in I did Midmar, but the three of us did triathlon here in Berlin. So I think I was prepared for that first kick in the face that you get when you start swimming in an open water swim. But the two of them,
I was not prepared.
I just put myself at the back, where people were just trying to survive. Less likely to be kicked in the head if someone is just trying to survive.
Ness, you've spoken about.
Sorry, can I ask a question? You're talking about the feeding. What are you being fed? Because I assume chips and biscuits are not good source of nourishment in the water.
No, I mean it depends on your preference, but they recommend definitely having something warm, some rooibos, like sweet rooibos tea, and then they say if you want to add like, I don't know, your protein powder or anything to that, you can do that to have like a little bit of nutrition. But we swim I did it in just over 2 hours last year, and I mean 2 hours is really not a big thing. So it's I don't think you have to prep majorly. Some people do like jellies, like gummies and stuff like that, to just keep the energy up if they're fading a bit. But anything, obviously the saltiness of the water, you want something sweet. And then if it's cold, like having something warm is really nice. So I think last year I just did rooibos tea and honey, and that was more than enough, especially because if you then start feeling nauseous, that also helps a bit.
Okay.
I believe we were in the water probably for a similar amount of time and weren't fed for our triathlon, and that was 2 kilometers swim. So it seems like you booked the luxury package.
And 2 hours felt like an eternity.
Talk us through some of your training leading up to the race, and specifically also nutrition. Are you preparing any differently? I know you're training regularly now for something like this than you would for any other event that you got coming up.
So I'm actually training less than I did last year. I think it's also what's making me feel a bit nervous because I feel like I have less time this year to train for it. And also there's this thing that happens in your head that you're like, oh, I've done it once, so I'll be fine. So I hope I'm not doing the wrong thing, but yeah.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
The man on the couch who knows exactly what you're talking about.
I never train for any of the races I sign up for, and it's always extremely unpleasant.
But yeah, again, it's not so I'm swimming once a week in a pool. On a Wednesday morning, I swim with a group here in Stellenbosch, which is quite fun. So there I get some of the swimming fitness in. And then on the weekend, I try and do a longer swim in a dam or in an ocean or something like that. So that's all that I'm doing. Last year, I swam, I think, at least 3 times a week during the week and then plus on the weekends. So I did a lot more training. So I'll definitely suffer a bit more this time. But the thing is, it's not a race. It's, as long as you just finish it.
It's a challenge.
Vanessa, it's definitely a race. It's very important that you finish first in this. And if you can't finish first, you need to find a reason why you're not first. That's the only thing that matters. Last year it was the swell that we can blame it on. This year, we need you at the front of the pack. Now that you're sponsored by Bench Opinions.
Yeah, exactly. The pressure is on.
Okay. I want you to rank the challenges that you face during your swim. So first is cold water. The second, which we haven't really touched on, which I think is the one that I think all of us would
Don't say the S word.
No, we're not going to say the S word.
Do not say the S word.
Sewage.
So, this is not Durban, thank goodness.
The fear of the unknown, the deep blue sea. It's obviously an area that's known for sharks. The third one would be the distance and exhaustion. And the fourth one would be the swell and waves. Rank them in order.
So definitely the swell and waves is number 1 for me because of my nausea. Like I'd rather have everything else. So that's for sure number 1. Then I would say the fear of the deep blue, like what lurks underneath. Because if my head goes there, or if you have a seal, so that side of the Atlantic is not so. I mean, False Bay is obviously the place for sharks. That side, they say it's not as common. But you do, like a friend of mine who's done it a couple of times, he actually saw a big sunfish once, which is an amazing experience. I don't know if you know what they look like, but you must Google them. They're these amazing, massive fish. So, but even seeing that would freak me out a bit. Or if a seal, they also have these, the seals that are now have rabies. I don't know if you've heard about that, but there's a whole thing going around.
Just another thing to add to the list.
So you can't even trust the seals anymore. But yeah, so that's definitely number 2. Then I would say the cold water is number 3. And then what was the 4th one, Max? The distance.
The distance and exhaustion.
Yeah, that one is last. I'm not too worried. I think we can throw in a bunch of jellyfish in there. The currents, all those things are above the distance.
I hadn't even considered jellyfish, but thank God you've peed on yourself already, so it won't sting. Dom, give me your ranking of how you would rank those.
I think the swells, because I think the swells can have.
Not lie. The swell can't be number 1 anyway.
The thing about sharks is that. First of all, the person that tried to comfort you by saying that they're only on some side of the Atlantic is nonsense. It's like peeing in a pool and saying, don't worry, he's 3 meters away from you. You're in the same pool. Anyway, that's the first thing. But the thing is, I think the likelihood of being bitten by a shark is still very low.
That's not, but I'm talking about that's why I did
the mental challenge.
It's you look down and you don't see a thing. I can't even swim when I'm in the ocean and I don't see the bottom.
But now, is this my list or is this your list?
Okay, give me your list.
Sorry. What scares me, since it's my ranking, is the swell, because I think the swell can affect a few things. You can get nauseous, which is going to affect your swimming, and you obviously it's going to affect how far you possibly have to swim, and then that kind of can have a domino effect on a lot of the other things. So I think for me, that's probably the scariest thing, because at the end of the day, I think the thing that would be the saddest is just not being able to finish because of something like that. I think if you get bitten by a shark and don't finish, you have other problems. But if it's the swell, it's going to be really heartbreaking, I think the deep blue
People will think you're a bit of a loser.
Exactly. Shame. He got a bit seasick. If you get bit, you're a hero if you get bitten by a shark.
Yes.
Anyway,
You're dead if you
But
get
only
bitten
if
by a
you're
shark
alive.
is what you are.
only if you're alive.
Klaus, give me your biggest fear.
The sharks.
Okay.
100% sharks. The swell, you just bob up and down for a little bit, but the sharks, no bobbing.
Surprised none of you said the distance, because I don't think any of us could do it.
Yeah,
We're talking about training.
I think that just shows you how far I am from ever completing anything like this. That I don't even consider the fact that it's 7.5 kilometers of swimming.
I think for me it would also be the deep blue.
Here's an idea. Next year, so this year they're offering it as a relay. So why don't we do it next year as a relay? The four of us.
I'll do the last 100 meters.
Klaus is looking very confused.
Trophy at the end.
I think so. There's a few things that we're trying to set ourselves as challenges, but you're about like 10 years away from where we are currently in our post 30s crisis. We've done Hyroxes, we've done triathlons. Now we're doing triathlons as a relay.
I can with 100% certainty tell you that my path is never going to get to that point.
Okay.
I think a high rocks is way worse than swimming the Robben Island.
There's no sharks. No sharks, no swells.
There's a lot of topless men, and that's fine. That's
scary enough.
what I see in the gym every morning. I want to talk to you about change leaders, and especially in a country like South Africa. Obviously, the causes that you mentioned at the beginning are extremely worthy, and you obviously work in an industry where you see a lot of need for assistance and help. South Africa is a country that relies heavily on people sort of pulling together and making things happen. What has your experience been sort of watching someone like Siya Kolisi rise over the last 8 or 9 years, and what impact he's had on South Africa?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I told Max this, but I actually saw him last weekend in a restaurant and I was so starstruck. I was too shy to actually go say hi to him, but I was like, oh my God, look who's sitting there. And it's the first time that I've seen him in person, and I obviously follow him on social media. And I think it's incredible how how many people admire him, and also seeing him last week at the restaurant, how many kids came up to him, and also the waitresses, and everybody was so, I mean, obviously they left him in peace for his meal, but as soon as he was getting up to leave, everybody's like rushing over for photos. And he's, yeah, I just feel like he's got such a natural leader personality. And I think he's really put that to good use, for just being a role model and allowing others to kind of dream bigger, and they can see themselves as there's a possibility. And I think that's the power of role models, and the power of a Black captain, I think, is just incredible. And I think I can see that in the country, and how that's just opened up so many doors or minds for what can be possible. And for the work that we do at the Sustainability Institute, we work a lot with kids as well, and that come from underserved backgrounds. And I think for us, that's what we see is the biggest influence, is if you have a role model that you can see yourself in. If you've got somebody that comes from the same background that you come from, that has the same skin color, that it's so powerful. So I think having Siya in that position is incredible. And I have so much respect and so much admiration for how he carries himself, and how gracious he is. I think it's one of the biggest or better leaders that we've had actually as a public figure in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if I could throw this question maybe to the two of you. Do you think athletes almost have a responsibility, especially in a country like South Africa, to do more than just perform in their sport?
Well, I think there's a beauty to it. I think there's opportunities for them to do more, but I think in Siya's case, he's such a poster child for, there's obviously a lot of things he didn't have equal opportunity, let's not joke, but on a schooling level, in a rugby sense, he did have being able to get to grey PE, getting that opportunity. There were a lot of things that allowed him to have equal opportunity and therefore become a beacon for what, if you just create a level playing field and you're able to close the gap for people that need it, what can happen. And I think that's the most exciting thing, because that's sort of the organic element of what you want to see, is that it can happen if you just put the right things in place. There's always going to be the outliers across the globe that just go above and beyond and do so many things, and I would say almost they're not necessarily the people that there's so much outliers in such a way that you maybe don't want to model your ambitions after them. See as Nessa said, see as just such a natural, organic person who, and it's happened because he got the opportunities. I think that's what excites me about that.
I don't think it's the responsibility of each and every athlete that has that platform to necessarily do it. It's obviously great if they do. I think it should, like somebody like Siya Kolisi should be inspiring not just athletes, but everybody in society to sort of do their part. And that could be anything from a CEO of a corporation to an actor, to an actress, or politicians, which unfortunately in South Africa are not leading by example and are not providing the hope that the country needs.
Klaus taking us down a rabbit hole here. I completely agree. Ness, I want to talk about your experience raising funds. You've spoken to me in private about how it's not necessarily something that comes naturally to you. I know it's something you also have to do for work. What has your experience been like drumming up support for two issues that I think if you laid them out in front of each and every one in person in a one-on-one discussion, it would be super easy to get a donation or support from? How's your experience been?
Can I add to that? I also want to know, why swim? Like, why do you have to, I mean, there's a lot of people who do sort of a challenge or a race for donations. Why is that so important? Why can you not just walk around and ask people for money?
That's a great question. I think as soon as my first time doing it was very different actually than this time around. And the first time I did it, it's majority friends and family that I'm asking. And I think the challenge allows you're doing something for it. So there's this big thing you can drum up, sort of, there's a deadline, you can drum up the support and the excitement, and you're putting yourself through something that's super challenging. So, it's not just, there's this cause, but you're attaching yourself and your own, you're putting yourself through something that's a little tougher as well. And I think that helps a lot. Last year, I realized that raising over 100,000 was actually quite significant, because I went to this fundraising conference, and I don't know if you've seen those races in Blouberg. I can't remember which one it is, but they run around in cow suits. They're called the cows. So they run a race in a cow jumps, and it's become like this huge fundraiser for a cancer organization, for a cancer NGO. And they call themselves the cows. And, she was speaking on stage, and she was like, oh, it's amazing. And we get these cows, and obviously they've got plenty of them, so it all adds up. But she says they all raise about 25,000 Rand each. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So I obviously really surpassed that by quite a lot if I raise over 100. And I think it really is, what I learned about it is to not, if somebody doesn't give or ghosts you, not to take it personally. Whatever is happening for them, it's happening for them. But those that do want to support will support. And a lot of people are also honest about it, and they say, listen, I can't give financially, but I'll be there cheering for you. I even had people come and stand on the shore and welcome me at the end of the swim. But they didn't give financially, but they were there in support, which was so amazing. So it's tough, Max. I won't lie. It's super tough to ask people for money, but you just got to learn to not take it personally if somebody doesn't give or doesn't, or ignores you.
Well, Vanessa, I must say, I think I've enjoyed the being able to sort of be a part of it with the social media, and I think that's what comes down to it. Why people maybe are more, I don't know, more open to giving to something like this is because if they do feel part of the swim to a certain degree, because they say, I've sponsored, and you will then post the results, and I think there's sort of closure to the whole exercise. I think a lot of the time, at least I think so, and we've seen it maybe discussed across the world, is that there sometimes does seem to be a dark hole of funding and charity, and you're throwing money at problems, but you aren't really able to see or hold in your hand what kind of a difference that's making. So I think that's something that I've identified maybe with your race, and also just being able to back you is something that helps to close that gap as well.
So if you donate 1,000 Rand, you've essentially also completed the challenge.
Exactly.
The people who just come along and stand there, it's not a great spectator sport, I must say. It's almost like that Harry Potter wizard tournament where they're always in the water and then suddenly they come up and someone's won.
Yeah, I think it's because of what Dom mentioned. I think it is because you're taking people along on the journey, and they wanted to be there because they've walked the journey with me and they're like, oh, wow, you finally finished. And I think that's the trick to it. It is to take people along on the journey with you and tell them how it's going. And you have a responsibility to share with people what the money is actually going towards. Because 100% I agree, Dom, like there's so many causes out there. And that's the tricky thing about fundraising in general is there's so much need. So to distinguish yourself from it. And also there's a personal relationship that you're building with each person that gives to your cause. So that's really important.
We'll be sure to add the link where you can donate if you're seeing this and you want to give to this amazing cause or these two amazing causes. Maybe just run us through, because sometimes I think people often misunderstand what it means to give. I believe that something like 750 Rand can already go as far as feeding a child in the StartWell Foundation for a year.
Yeah, so 750 covers the direct costs. So that's for one child for an entire year's worth of breakfast, which is incredible. I mean, I don't know what that is in euro, but it's very little. And it's a very well put together formula. They actually worked with Tim Noakes to put together. I know Tim Noakes is controversial, but they worked with some really proper nutritionists to put this the formula together. And it's really high in protein, which is the number one thing that kids need that helps prevent stunting through malnourishment. Is obviously protein can be very expensive, and that's the one thing that kids don't get enough of. It's now I've forgotten your question, Max.
I was just saying that how far 750 Rand can actually go if you transfer it. Yeah. I don't think there's an amount that's too little to give to something like this. Obviously, if you hear amounts like 100,000 Rand or something like this, maybe it seems overwhelming, but obviously doors open for anyone willing to contribute 5, 10, 15 euros to something like this, because the amount of people that I know I've reached out to, and I can't even imagine that you've reached out to, if all of them would give 5 euros, the masses that you're talking about are completely different.
And I've had people donate all sorts of different amounts. So people have donated from like £10 to the biggest donation was 18,000 Rand. I also have a donor that's a big partner at the SI who's matching every donation up to 100,000. So we're close now to 90. Now with Dom's donation, we're over 96,000. Thank you, Dom.
Yes.
But I want to obviously last year it was 108. So I'm going to push hopefully for 120. I've still got 2 weeks left. So hopefully we can hit that 120. And then that'll be doubled up to 200. And maybe we can even exceed 200,000, which is incredible.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Perfect.
I've got one question. What's next?
Hey.
Bigger, better, faster, stronger.
Yeah, somebody asked me at the end of last year if I wanted to do the False Bay crossing. Now, there is something crazy, if you've ever heard of crazy.
You're also in the middle of False Bay, Siya Island, and Siya Island is where all the sharks are.
Yeah. It's shark territory.
That's where they feed you.
It's 33 kilometers, so you're in the ocean for like 12 hours. And I actually at some point considered it. I was like, why don't we do that? So I don't know. I think if anything, I'll do the double Robben Island. So it's there and back.
Let's put a pause on all of that. I think one of the hardest things that you could do for next year, which I think would be an amazing achievement, is convince one other person who's not already a natural swimmer to do this with you to also raise funds.
Like the three of you.
This guy, he told me.
I'm a natural athlete.
Nessie, he tells me all the time how keen he is.
I unfortunately was a water birth, so I'm just too natural.
I really think it could be matched with a cool holiday. You guys, we do a relay. It could be super fun. Come on, let's do it.
I can come take photos. I can do a recap video. I can support media-wise.
Speaking of videos and pics, just Vanessa, how can we follow you and how can people follow you on Instagram? I think if you can maybe just tell us.
So my Instagram is v_swims Robben Island. So V Swims Robben Island, or just Google Vanessa van der Heide. People should be able to find me on that. I think my Facebook profile is set to private, but yeah, mostly Instagram, V Swims Robben Island. Yeah, please follow me. And Robben Island is spelled Robben. A lot of people spell it like the name Robin, but it's not. It's Afrikaans for seal.
You won't have to tell any of our fans.
No.
The tourists who we talk to on our episodes have all done cultural things without only going wine tasting and hiking up Lion's Head.
100%.
Maybe you can link it for me in your show notes.
There we go.
I'll definitely link it for you. I think that wraps it up from our side.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us.
No, I say thank you to you.
Follow us along on Vanessa's socials. I know that there's also a page, I think, organized by the swim itself, that gives updates on the day of the race. I'm sure you'll mention that in your socials, so go ahead and follow that as well. And yeah, we'd obviously be very appreciative if you clicked on the link and donated to these amazing causes.
Yeah. Great job, Vanessa. It's very inspiring.
Thank you so much.
All the best.
Thanks.
Lots of strength, a strong stomach.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Klaus. Thanks, Max. You guys are awesome.